The Ravens are in a must-win spot. Can they beat Green Bay?
This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Friday edition of the Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. And as always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. And because it's a Friday, we have a nice duo today of shows. Later on, we'll have a couple more games to go over, including some of the big ones on Saturday. Chargers and the Texans, huge one in the AFC. Also, the Pop-Tarts Bowl with BYU and Georgia Tech. We'll also look at the Pinstripe Bowl between Penn State and Clemson. So we're going to get to all of that. But first, let's begin this show, Lee, with the other game on Saturday in the NFL, the Ravens and the Packers. Time now for our lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Let's begin at Lambeau Field, and as Lee mentioned, must win for the Ravens, and Pittsburgh still playing well atop the AFC North. Baltimore with all their injury problems with Lamar Jackson. Green Bay's got their own injury issues with Jordan Love. We'll see how he plays if he does on Saturday. So, Lee, what do you like with the Packers and the Ravens?
Well, just like yesterday for my clients, we gave out Minnesota. And why? Everyone's talking about must win for Detroit. They've got to win the game to stay alive. Their chances weren't great to make the playoffs, but must win means probably going to lose in my book. And that might be what's going on with this Baltimore Ravens team. A lot of rumors going on. Lamar Jackson doesn't want to practice every day. They moved the practices from the mornings to the afternoons for him. And I think their defense is atrocious. I mean, they walk out there in uniforms and they look all big and bad, but bottom line is they can't stop a cold. Drake May last week, 31 for 44 for 380 yards. Absolutely shredded that defense. And Green Bay looks like there's a good chance Jordan Love will be back. And if not, Malik Willis says he'll be ready here. So I think Lamar Jackson has checked out. I think they're going to trade him in the offseason. I think that a lot of discord going on with that team here. And I like Green Bay. I think they'll bounce back off that Chicago loss. I have won in this game here. 26-17. It's going to be a level 2 lock to start off Friday.
And Green Bay already in the playoffs. They've clinched a berth, just still behind Chicago in the NFC North. So we'll see if Green Bay ends up hitting the road in the first round of the playoffs, but still they are in. And Baltimore, who got off to that awful start to the season, came back, made it interesting, but unfortunately for them, now still behind the Pittsburgh Steelers with 2 weeks to go. So, Lee, you mentioned it about yesterday. On Christmas Day, 3 matchups people weren't thrilled with because you had 3 starting quarterbacks out. You had no Jaden Daniels on Washington. You had no J.J. McCarthy in the Vikings, and obviously no Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs. But all 3 of those backup quarterbacks all covered the spread. So that was big, and including Minnesota with their outright victory. But how surprised were you that they all found a way to grab the covers?
That was shocking. They weren't backups, Kevin. They were third stringers. There's a difference. So, you look at Washington, Josh Johnson was okay. He was passable. You could tell he's been in the league. He's a cut above the other 2 guys. He threw for 198 yards. Probably shouldn't have covered. Dallas was the better team, led from 7 to 17 points the entire game. Just couldn't lock it down. And then they took a knee, right at the end. They're on like the 30-yard line of their opponent. So if you had Washington, probably got lucky there. The next game, Minnesota, Max Brosmer throws for all of 51 yards. I think if you account his sacks, he threw for a total of 3 yards. So 51 yards passing for Max Brosmer. How did they win? 6 turnovers. You saw Detroit just wasn't focused, wasn't locked in. 6 turnovers is absolutely unacceptable. So Detroit's gone now. People thought, they have a small chance to win. They'll blow out Minnesota with the third-string quarterback. Well, they lost outright. And then finally, the last game, Denver, typical Denver, looks great for a couple weeks and then reverts back. Not much offense. And third stringer, Chris Oladokun, who's been around for now like 4 years, but gets his first actual start. Only throws for 66 yards, but Kansas City covers. So I think the public took a big-time bath. We only played 2 of the games. We split them for our clients, which is not bad on a day like yesterday. So you got to be cautious. You got to study these teams. Sometimes the best bet is no bet.
And the Broncos, another one-score victory for them. They've been on the right side of a lot of these one-score games so far this year, and we'll see how that affects them going into the postseason. We'll see Denver in the postseason, obviously Kansas City not. But, so 3 games in the books, 2 more coming up on Saturday. We'll have a pick on Chargers-Texans in our second video of the day. Also, Bills-Eagles, the big game on Sunday afternoon in the late window in Buffalo. Lee's going to have a short on that on our YouTube channel a little bit later on today. So the NBA, 5 games yesterday. We're back in the swing of things, and now back to a full NBA card tonight. And we're going to look at our blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
We're going to lay the points to the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. They are hosting the Milwaukee Bucks, and Memphis around a 5.5-point favorite here. And one of the keys is Milwaukee off a big win over Indiana a few nights ago. They caught the Pacers on the second of a back-to-back after Indiana was up big on Boston, blew that game. They came back home, and the Bucks took care of them. And the Bucks still without Giannis Antetokounmpo. But here's a couple numbers, though. Milwaukee, 8 straight losses off a win. So they have not been able to put together back-to-back wins in a long time. Also, they are 0-7 in their last 7 games as a road dog. Not against the spread, just straight up, because they've covered a couple times as a heavy dog. But in this spot, I think Memphis can take care of business. Memphis back home after they beat Utah a few nights ago. And the last one, Memphis 5-1 against the spread this year as a home favorite of 5.5 or less. Their last 2 home games, they lost to Washington, Utah outright, but they were heavy favorites in those games. This is more manageable. Let's lay the points with the Grizzlies tonight against the Bucks as our NBA blowout special.
Love it. In fact, it's one of my games for my clients. Hint, hint. So if you're a Paramount Sports subscriber, you'll be getting that game. And I think you caught on to something. This Memphis team is starting to play better now. And Milwaukee, I guess it was a big win when you're playing without your star and you wouldn't beat anyone. But Indiana is an absolute bottom feeder this year. So I think Milwaukee will revert to form without their star. I think Memphis beats them by double digits.
Yeah, so we'll see if the Grizzlies can get a second straight win tonight. And again, Milwaukee's been so inconsistent all year. The good doctor running the show, Doc Rivers, but it just hasn't worked out when you don't have your all-world player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, in there. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the bowls. We have 3 bowls on Friday. There is, 8 bowls coming up on Saturday, a huge card. Obviously, we're taking a little break from the college football playoff, but still a lot of more name schools now after the first few games. We're kind of Sun Belt, Conference USA teams. Now we're going to get some more name schools. We're going to get to Minnesota and New Mexico in the Rate Bowl. That is coming up in just a little bit as we continue here on this Friday edition of Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel, and NFL Sundays move fast. Also, you have NFL Saturdays as well with 2 games coming up tomorrow. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. And the cool thing is the live betting, and we saw it on Thursday with some of these games that you could have grabbed Commanders in game when they were trailing Dallas big. You probably would have cashed there. Also the same thing with the Chiefs as well. And you could find these spots in these games. You don't have to feel locked in before kickoff, that you have the pressure of making a bet before. You can wait until the game kicks off, let the game settle a little bit, and see which side you want to get on, whether it's a side, a money line, a total, or even a player prop. See how some of these guys respond. So maybe that's the way to go. And at FanDuel, you could find live betting there, and a lot of opportunities you have in all of these games. So it's a really cool thing. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We continue here on the Friday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. We'll have another edition coming out a little bit later. And we looked at Ravens-Packers here. We're going to look at Texans Chargers, big one in the AFC. Both teams in second place of their respective divisions. Chargers ready in the playoffs. Houston will probably get in too, but should be a good one there in LA. We'll talk about that in the next edition. But we look at college football now with 3 bowls coming up on Friday and the historic Rate Bowl from Phoenix. It's the Gophers of Minnesota, the Lobos of New Mexico, and time now for our wrong team favorite.
What the WTF?
So row the boat with PJ Fleck. Minnesota just always they're either in the, well, it's not called the Outback Bowl anymore, but they're either in that bowl or the Pinstripe Bowl or the Rate Bowl. Like, they've just found a way to be stuck in these bowls. You're not getting to the Rose Bowl or getting to better bowls. Like Minnesota's been stuck in these bowls for years, the PJ Fleck. So they're taking on New Mexico today. New Mexico obviously improved. So, Lee, what do you like here with the Lobos and the Gophers?
Let's be honest. We can call them the second or the third rate bowls. And the reason they're at that level is they change names all the time. I don't even know what Rate Bowl is. Maybe it's a mortgage company. Not sure exactly, but don't really care. So PJ Fleck, let's first talk about him. And he's done well in bowls. He's won his last 6. I think there's something going on here where, you're stuck kind of at not even a middling Big Ten program now, because since they've added Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA, I think you're below average. He goes 6-6 here. There were so many openings this year. I thought if he was a real coach, a coach that was aspiring to win something, he would have gone after one of those openings. Obviously, he didn't, or there's something wrong with him. Well, I know there's also something wrong with his team right now. They are without their top 2 running backs. Their top wide receiver transferring, and also second and third guys also are leaving. So they're without their top 2 running backs, top 3 receivers here. Lobos got to be fired up about this bowl. First bowl game since like the mid-2010s. And who was the head coach? Bob Davie. Team playing well now, 9-3, including a 6-game winning streak, beating 3 bowl teams. Not great bowl teams. Beat all 3 of them, though. San Diego State, UNLV, Utah State, very few guys opting out here. And the only win Minnesota had, normally you look at, sometimes level of talent. The level of talent may not be any different here because of these opt-outs. And Minnesota's only win over a bowl team was against Nebraska midseason here. So I think their offense is so limited here. And I think New Mexico, first-year coach, I like what they're building here. I'm going to go with a wrong team favored. New Mexico gets the win here. Something like 27-20 over Minnesota.
Yeah, and you have 3 bowl games today, 8 tomorrow. So you have opportunities. And, yes, you have more name teams, but we'll see who ends up showing I don't know, who has a little more motivation in these games. And that's kind of the key here coming down the stretch. So with that being said, Lee, what's going on Paramount Sports now as we are in the midst of Week 17 of the NFL, also all of these bowl games, and then coming up next week, we'll have the college football playoff continuing into the second round.
Yeah, 11 bowl games just in the next 2 days. So you're looking to, hang around the house or watch some games. Now's the time. Last year we went 21-10 college football bowls. So feel that we're locked in. So you want to hop on board. Everything through the 31st, you're going to get 6 total days. Just $197 if you use coupon code SAVE100. It's a double down December special. Just one place, Paramount Sports. What are you waiting for?
And also don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets. You could find our videos there and also our podcast on Spotify or Apple. Just type in Locked On Bets, and we'll have a second edition of Locked On Bets for you a little bit later on with 3 games we're going to look at, all football. It's going to be a couple of bowl games. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, the game that Notre Dame didn't want to be in. BYU and Georgia Tech. Also, the Pinstripe Bowl with Clemson and Penn State. Both those games on Saturday, as well as the Texans-Chargers showdown in the NFL in L.A. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning into this edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.